hiding in out of the rain in Montserrat, actually. You were in George's recording studio.
I popped up there. I wasn't actually working there this time. I've worked there on many an occasion. Sting was in there when I was up. It's pop stars just run off my lips here.
Yes, go ahead.
Name
Sting,
dropping.
your friend Sting.
And my friend Sting was up there recording, and the studio was great.
They're okay, are they? They're still alive?
It's still alive, and it's still all working. It's in safe hands, George.
Good.
It's all right.
It's a tough life, isn't it, really, being a pop star, a pop producer, having to go all the way to the Caribbean to make a record.
And this is January. It's a long time.
It's tough, though, isn't it?
It is. It's a hard life, although it's moved on quite a bit from, as you were saying, it's 20 years ago today. It's moved on an awful lot from that type of recording.
Were you aware at the time when you were making that Sgt. Pepper's that it was a landmark? Were you aware of its importance without being pompous about it? I mean, how did you just make it and that was that?
No, it was another record when we started it. Obviously, when we finished it, we thought we had something special. But I certainly didn't think I'd be being quizzed about it 20 years on. And if I had thought that, I would have run a mile, you know. It would have been too awesome for words.
Yeah. Is there a danger now that we reach 20 years on? The Beatles have always been up there. Is there a danger of really deifying them?
Yeah, I think maybe I think we're going to see the end of the hype now, aren't we? This is the last day. This is June the 1st, 1987. Tomorrow, we'll be forgotten for another 20 years. Then you'll have to really dig me up after that.
Yeah, but I mean, you got up to all sorts of for the time, 20 years ago. Stop saying that. Depresses all. I mean, you got up to some amazing recording tricks, didn't you, to get special effects?
We had great fun. Yeah, I mean, it was experimenting all the time. And the boys were very much into the avant-garde thing. You know, Paul was into Stockhausen, John was listening to John Cage. And I'd been playing a lot with electronic sounds, which weren't synthesized because we didn't have them in those days. You know, turning tapes back to front, speeding them up, slowing them down. Yeah. Thing that Midge does now in his sleep.
It's a lot easier to do it now. You have machines that do it for you. You press a button and it turns things round. You know.
Of course, the Beatles had so much money at that time, and then their recording company, EMI, were hardly going to refuse them anything.
Well, in fact, it didn't cost all that much, you know. £25,000 isn't really a great deal of money for a record that's going to last forever.
Well, 20 years ago was quite a lot of money, wasn't it?
Not as much.
That was only the recording time.
That was the recording time.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, so we spent a fair amount of time doing it.
Yeah.
But one of the things that, yeah, I must say, EMI were very good. They didn't bilk at all at our spending all that time. They knew that we were doing something worthwhile. And I think it was from the Beatles' point of view, they'd been churning out 2 albums a year ever since they started, and 4 singles generally. And they suddenly realized that they could stop doing the touring, and stop doing the filming, and stop doing everything else, and concentrate on the studio. So they allocated that time to it. And the great thing about it, I think, was that both John and Paul realized and started writing songs that weren't just rock and roll songs for a rock and roll band, but were being designed to be something else, be something produced in a studio.
And there was obviously rivalry between them as far as it came to writing songs.
And there was always rivalry between them, always.
Yes.
And it spurred them on to greater efforts. You know, John wrote Strawberry Fields, which was going to be on the album. That was the beginning of the album. And I reckon that Paul heard it and said, that's a wonderful song. I wonder if I can do better. And came back with Penny Lane. And so, I mean, you can't really fault either of them, can you?
No, that's true. And didn't John want to have on Sgt. Pepper at the very end? He put a special effect on.
Well, you mean the run-out group?
Yeah.
Well, that was Paul's idea, I think. Having a little noise, just for fun. I mean, we always said, you know, when a needle gets to the end and starts swithering around and lifts off, well, those people who don't have automatic players should be able to hear something.
Yeah.
That wasn't in joke.
Didn't John want something to frighten everybody's dog?
That's right. We put on a 15 kilohertz tone so that dogs could hear it. Just a silly in-joke.
To widen their audience, obviously.
Yes, quite.
We need them.
Yeah, extraordinary. How do you remember the 4 Beatles? When you remember them with affection? Or are the mists of time clouding over memory?
No, I see them still. I mean, it's not difficult to remember.
Well, obviously, see the 3 of them. Yeah.
And, no, with a great affection, because particularly at the Pepper time, it was a very happy time. Everyone was working very well together. We knew that they were doing great work, and we had a great deal of fun.
Do you regret now, knowing that, as you said to Midge, you have the use of synthesizers, all sorts of much more sophisticated material and effects on your hands? Do you regret that you haven't that kind of thing at your disposal when you were recording the Beatles?
No, I don't think so, because although we only had 4 tracks, Studer 4-track machine was the thing we had, it gave you a kind of discipline. You know, you had to do it. There was nothing else anyway. You had to do it with that. You had no synthesizer, so you had to make up your own sounds. And I think, in fact, it helped. I think possibly it wouldn't have been as good an album without it, because we were performing too, in the control room. The engineer, Jeff Emmerich, brilliant engineer, and myself, we were having to get it right at the time also. So it added a bit of excitement to it. And there was no going back, none of this dithering saying, I think I might remix that later. It'll be all right in the mix. 48 tracks to deal with, none of that.
Yeah. But when they came to you with their first demo, you weren't all that impressed with them, were you?
No, the first demo was rotten, really. I can understand why a lot of other people turned it down. But I was looking for something, and I thought worthwhile, it was unusual. I thought it was worthwhile investigating. So I told Brian to bring them down to London from Liverpool, and give them a test in the studios. I spent a few hours with them in Abbey Road, and fell in love with them because they had great charisma. They certainly had it wasn't at all obvious that they could be songwriters at that stage, because their songs were pretty awful. Even then, Love Me Do was the best thing we had. But they had great charisma and irreverence too. They haven't changed a bit. They're still the same arrogant devils they were.
What brought it on then, the songwriting talent? Why did it take that time to come through? Did they need the fame and the
Well, I think
time?
success helped them in this case. Success sometimes spoils people. With them, it acted as a kind of hothouse, and their talents sort of grew overnight. You could watch it grow almost.
Yeah.
And the songs they turned out after the beginnings were fantastic. Each time they brought me a new piece of material, and I wondered, I thought, this is marvelous, this is great. We'd make a great song out of it, a great record out of it.
Is it possible for a new Beatles group to come through now?
Oh, sure.
But
And there will be.
things are different out there, Midge. I would have thought it's almost impossible for somebody as big as the Beatles to come through again.
It's very difficult to say. I mean, I suppose if you're talking in record sales, I suppose Madonna has sold as many records, if not more, than the Beatles ever did. Whether it's down to, if you put it down to songwriting talents, it's very difficult to get a combination of people who collectively will have that sort of effect on the world. Remember, it did happen 20, 25 years ago, and it was all very new at the time. It would have to be something slightly different from what we have now. There are so many bands around just now. It would have to be something in a different, a whole different sense of
I think
music.
it will happen. Something will come along, which it may not be a group of people, it may be one person, it may be two, it might be a dog. It'll be something that'll happen. It'll be great.
I hope so. I hope
and
so.
I hope I'm around to see it too.
Well, I'm sure you will be, George. You've got a long way to go yet. You too, Midge. Nice to meet you both. George Martin, Midge York.